When you think of our training and conditioning that we typically do or traditionally do for most is if I'm doing a bicep curl or I'm doing a shoulder press or I'm doing some type of cable press or I'm doing some type of row, do we typically want the body to move or do we try to isolate the body and get a segment to move?
Isolate is the answer.
So if we isolate it based upon the example we just had, are we potentially putting more stress into the segment without distributing the force through the body than if we allow the body to move with that? Yeah. And so that's what happens a lot. Now, just to make sure that we're on the same page is neither one of them are wrong. They're both correct and they both have a purpose and they both have a function. It's what is the person capable of doing? What do they want to do from their preference style, which we'll get into a little bit as well. And so these become very important factors as we start to train and we start to work with people. Because what I've noticed over the last decade, working with two different educational companies, having had my own personal training business, speaking with thousands of personal trainers across the world, is that most of us who train pick one style or another, and we go with that. We eliminate the client from the aspect because the client has no idea what they're doing, and then we give the person this particular exercise. When in fact, it's the client that's the most important, and we should be listening to what the client says, and it's that we should be able to do and discern both. So if I'm doing an exercise, I may want someone who's doing a bent over row just to work on that one particular motion. All I want you to do is get that shoulder to move. But I also may want someone as they get more adept at the motion or the skill that I'm teaching them, because working out and training in a gym is a skill set. That's not just an exercise. It's not just movement. It's a skill set because we're trying to get them to do a specific activity or a specific movement, not just moving. Big difference. But if I have someone who's doing that, well, I may now want someone as they're coming down to actually shift their weight. So now they're shifting weight and distributing it through their hips and their feet while they're doing that row. And why would I want to do that?
Distribute stress.
Distribute stress is the answer that we got.
Exactly. Because now if I can distribute stress throughout the whole system, what is that doing for the body? Was the body designed to distribute force through the whole system?
Yes.
Absolutely. So now what I'm doing is I'm actually teaching their body, even though I'm using a dumbbell row, which is that's a made-up motion. I don't think they did dumbbell row. You don't do dumbbell rows anywhere else but the gym. So when I go to the gym, if I do a dumbbell row, if I can distribute and get that activity to help distribute force throughout my whole body, not only do I get my body all engaged and get the whole motion engaged, but now I'm distributing force throughout the whole system. And why would that be important based upon what we just talked about with the connective tissue? Why may that be really important?
Injury reduction.
Injury reduction.
Well, injury reduction, and how may that injury reduction come about? Think about what we talked about with enhancing the tissue capacity.
Correct movement patterns, keeping things fluid.
Yeah, keeping things fluid is really, really empowering because remember, mechanical loading will help the tissue to adapt, and it'll be all tissue, bone, muscle, connective. So think of your joints, your tendons, your fascia. All of that tissue now adapts. If I only do this when I show up to the gym, and I only do this, and I only do this, my tissues will get really strong in this motion. But as soon as I do this, I don't have that strength anymore because my body is not able to distribute that force